We want to welcome you this morning to our Drainage District Board of Directors meeting for today, October the 23rd, 2012. Present are Commissioner Palacios, Precinct 2, and Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Is there any matter anybody sign up under open forum?
Yes, sir. I did on behalf of some of the board members. Wanted to brief the court and the general public. We had the opportunity last week to meet with Commissioner Lucine from the International Boundary and Water Commission, Commissioner Tita Palacios, and Commissioner Joseph Palacios. Met with them and myself, where we presented to the IBWC Commissioner the letter on behalf of Hidalgo County Drainage District as it relates to moving forward on the recapturing of monies that we had invested on the levy. The commissioner was very receptive. He briefed the commissioners also on the work that the IBWC is doing. He informed the commissioners that IBWC was, I don't want to use the word grateful, but was very impressed with the leadership of Hidalgo County in working and moving forward on addressing issues in our community. He was also very thankful for the work that this board has done in helping the IBWC obtain additional funding from the federal government or their agency under the American Recovery Act to finalize and complete the majority of the levies, if not all the levies within Hidalgo County, and that they are moving forward with certification through IBWC and FEMA for those particular levies. We explained to him also the issue of a memorandum of agreement that we presently have and the status of how we interpreted the memorandum of agreement related to the first segment of the levies and the ability on the additional work done with the IBWC and DHS for the recovery of the funds that we've expended out. I think it was a very productive meeting. We met with our engineers. They'll continue coming to meet with us. He advised us that he would be responding to the letter that we submitted to him shortly for this board's consideration. At this time, I'd like to see if the commissioners have anything to say based on the meeting that we had up there with them.
Mine's simple comments is first time I ever see the IBWC willing to work hand in hand with the obviously Hidalgo County. We talked about some of the projects they have in hand. We figured out how both entities can work together. It's just ideal for what we would hope that the IBWC would be willing to work with Hidalgo County. So it's a very promising relationship. I look forward for him coming down here along with his staff to figure out where we can partner up on some of these deals. But it was a very, very productive meeting. Very impressive.
All right.
Plus the update.
Let me make, Commissioner, just, can you sign in the commissioner's name?
Yes, sir. It was based on the meeting associated with...
Just sign it in, and
yes, sir.
So we don't violate the open meetings law.
Very good, sir. Basically, attending in the open forum is Commissioner Joseph Palacios, Commissioner Hector Tito Palacios on their report on the meeting at the IBWC.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Godfrey, can you?
We can't get involved in a discussion, but you can certainly make any comments you want to make, Commissioner.
Well, just to cover the fact that the commissioner introduced the topic of the cleaning or grubbing of the pilot channel.
In the projects that the IBWC commissioner advanced forward with the board members that were there was the continued work that they needed to do on the clearing.
Godfrey, we're not, this is still open forum.
Yes, sir.
And,
I'm reporting on the
Crane,
meeting, sir.
Well, but we can't go back and forth. As,
Okay. No, my request for him to make some comment regarding the item that he spoke on.
well, he did for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, but he didn't cover that section.
Okay, are we through with the open forum?
Again, on the report with the IBWC, it was a very productive meeting that we had with them. They're delineating their different projects. The cleaning of the pilot channel was one of the projects they wanted to keep engaged with the locals to try to facilitate the drainage of our area, which is of negative impact to our community. But we are continuing engaged, and they will come and report to this board shortly with their master plan.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, under consent agenda, any concerns?
For this check register, no, Judge.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item 4, Judge, we inadvertently put the item under exemption. We will bring this back up on Tuesday to present the exemption status and then present for the board's consideration the retaining of Stinson Moore Hecker for the letter regarding clarification on the ability of the State Department on recapturing of funds. We'll
All
come
right,
back
sir.
next Tuesday. We have no item in closed session unless the board wishes to obtain one at this time.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. We would be convening our regular Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting for today, October the 23rd, 2012. Present are Commissioners Palacios, Precinct 2, and Palacios, Precinct 4, and myself. We have a quorum. Please join us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner, do you want to read it again, Brian?
Go ahead. No.
Would someone, Michelle, would you please read the prayer?
Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, for the judge and commissioners to make the decisions that they need to lead this great county of Hidalgo. Please watch over us, and thank you. Amen.
Thank you. Our auditor's in the back, so we'll come back to the consent agenda. Ray, we're on the consent agenda. Any concerns?
I believe so, Judge. Let me see. Yeah, I would like to ask that consent agenda item 8B and 9G be pulled for discussion, Judge. 8B as in boy and 9G as in Gary.
I'm sorry, Ray, can you repeat those numbers again?
There was 8B as in Bob, 9G as in George.
So moved, Judge.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. 8B relates to what, sir?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 8B is approval for payment for the Fifth Administrative Judicial Region in the amount of $86,495. The auditor's concern is on the requisition. The requisition number is 225165. Request approval of this item.
So there's already a requisition in place?
Yes, sir.
For the amount? Okay, perfect.
Move for approval?
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
And 9G is related to purchasing item, Judge. And the agenda caption reads as follows: acceptance approval of Hidalgo County to purchase the continuation of the maintenance services through the signed purchase order with North American Western Data Systems for the Planning Department in the amount of $1,565.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The terms and conditions have been emailed to your department.
Okay.
I have the email. I did note so in our response. But the vendor is not requiring that that document be executed. only accepting our purchase order, but you have been giving the terms and conditions of the maintenance agreement itself.
Yeah, we just needed to make sure that we're paying in compliance with the agreement, the terms and conditions.
They would not agree to our modifications. We tried back and forth, and so as a compromise, they agreed to accept our purchase order only. I believe for your purposes, you want the terms and conditions in order to audit the bill,
Right.
and we have provided them.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Move to approve.
Need a second? Second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, at this time, I would like to take some time to recognize individuals that are present here today that represent part of the future leadership of this county. They are enrolled in the Harvest Christian Academy. They're students in that facility, and they're here today. They're part of a U.S. government class that is being taught by Ms. Jeanette Andrade. If you could please rise. Ms. Andrade, I don't know if you want to make any comments, or if you'd like to make them over here in the podium so we can all hear you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We're just grateful for the opportunity to be here and learn. I bring the students every year so that they can see government at every level, at the city level, at the county level, and then we'll be studying state and national levels. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for them, come on guys, to see the issues that the county addresses, and so that they'll be better prepared when it's time for them to vote and be active also in their government. And I'm very proud of this group. They're high achievers, and they do very well.
Well, welcome to your Hidalgo County government at work. As you know, we have a meeting on the Tuesdays of every week, and we preside over the expenditure of about a $175 million budget, plus we oversee an additional few hundred million that are provided in grants and other ways for expenditures here in our county. If any of you have any questions at all about your county government, it's presided over by 4 county commissioners and 1 county judge. That's the way the statutes require county government to operate, and each one of the commissioners is elected by the community, as well as the judge. If you don't have any questions, then we want to welcome you this morning, and hopefully you'll find it to be a learning experience for you.
Judge, Commissioners, if we can have a picture, please, with the group.
Can you walk up here in front, please?
Thank you very much, Judge.
You're welcome, Ms. Andrade. Thank you. I know there's an item here involving Senator Lucio. Is he here?
Judge, the treasurer couldn't make it today, so we're going to move that item to next week.
You're going to move it to next week?
Correct, yes. That's item 6A, presentation and recognition of county treasurer by Texas State Senator Eddie Lucio. No action.
All right, then item 5A.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Karina Cardoso with the Public Affairs Division. The item is approval of a proclamation declaring October 25th, 2012 as South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association Day in Hidalgo County. And we have members of the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association that we would like to recognize and have them come up to the front. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Brenda Salazar for a few words.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to honor South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association today. They're a wonderful organization who has done a lot for children with juvenile diabetes, type 1 diabetes, in this last year of existence. And they will be celebrating their one-year anniversary on October the 25th. And so we're here today, excuse me, to declare October 25th, 2012 as South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association Day in Hidalgo County. Whereas diabetic children are a special group of individuals who face unique challenges every single day of their lives, such as monitoring blood glucose levels by pricking their fingers, administering insulin by injections or insulin pump, calculating the carbohydrate levels in every bite of food they eat, and recognizing and treating a low blood sugar attack, all in an effort to prevent the debilitating complications associated with uncontrolled diabetes. And whereas trend data shows that 1 of every 2 Hispanic babies born today will likely face a lifetime with diabetes, and whereas the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association was founded by parents of local diabetic children on October 25th, 2011, to offer support and advocacy for diabetic children and their families in the Rio Grande Valley, the first local organization of its kind. And whereas during its first year of service to our community, STJDA has initiated family-oriented support groups, organized family field trips, and spearheaded a community and school education program that has taught local school nurses and non-medical school personnel how to supervise and empower a diabetic child to be able to self-manage their diabetes while they are at school. And whereas the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association has demonstrated its strong commitment to improving the quality of life for the residents of Hidalgo County by providing our community with educational forums and the tools needed to increase awareness of diabetes. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court does hereby proclaim October 25th as South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association Day in Hidalgo County, and encourages all county residents to support every effort of parents, healthcare providers, educators, and community members to empower children with diabetes to successfully manage daily life with this chronic disease. Thank you. Now, we do have a couple of type 1 diabetics that are here to say a few words about their life living with type 1 diabetes and what the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association has done for them. And their names are Sophia Malik and Hannah Salinas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry. Good morning. My name is Sophia Malik and I'm 13 years old. I remember the day of my diagnosis like it was just yesterday. It was just 4 days after my 7th birthday and a little over a week after school let out. It was time to be outside, swimming or climbing trees, not cooped up in a doctor's office waiting for test results. When the doctor finally gave us the news that I did, in fact, have type 1 diabetes, I couldn't say that I was surprised. Diabetes runs in families, especially type 1, the kind I have. Contrary to popular belief, type 1 is entirely hereditary and not triggered by eating too many sweets. In addition, I can still eat as many sweets as I want, provided that I do so in moderation and look after myself. And yet, even though I grew up with a diabetic father, even though I've been told that I had a high risk for developing the illness myself, the whole experience completely traumatized me at first. When a person is diabetic, their bodies cannot produce insulin, a digestive fluid that helps take sugar to blood cells. Without insulin, the sugar pools in our bloodstream excessively. If high blood sugars aren't treated fast enough, we can slip into a coma and, in severe cases, die. Treating high blood sugars is easy. Simply take insulin with each meal. But insulin isn't like other medicines. It cannot be taken by mouth or it will never get anywhere. Instead, you have to inject it or receive it by means of an insulin pump, which is a more complicated device. My first few days as a diabetic were absolutely awful. I remember my mother chasing me around the house with a needle just so she could give me a shot so I could eat dinner. Like most children, needles weren't something I particularly liked being subjected to, but over time, I grew used to it. I had no choice. 6 years after that summer day, I can say that I'm still alive and better than ever. My blood sugar sugars are very normal for someone my age, and I no longer have to take 4 or 5 shots a day, thanks to the ingenious machine that is an insulin pump. Now I only have to get the pump site changed every 3 days, and when you think about it, that's much easier than it was before. And yet, something still bothers me, and that is the fact that most people don't know what us diabetics have to go through every day. The kids at my school know about me and respect my personal struggles, but they've never been properly educated and therefore assume that I can't have sugar and that I'm not like them. And there's no worse feeling in the world than feeling different. We all know we're different, but sometimes being different can hurt. I couldn't go to sleepovers until recently since my mother was so worried whether I could handle nights away from home. I don't know how many times the teachers at school have given out treats for prizes and skipped me on purpose, going, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot you can't have any of this," and pointing me out in front of all my classmates. It hurts more than anyone can tell. This is why I think we should make October 25th Diabetes Awareness Day. We need to spread the word. I know I'm not different than anyone else, but not everyone does. We need to make this cause known so that we can ultimately improve the way we are seen by non-diabetic people. I think that by making this day an official Diabetes Awareness Day can bring more to our cause. You never know, maybe people will officially learn about us and what makes us different, as well as similar to them. The first step is to make ourselves known. This is what we strive for. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Hannah Salinas. I was diagnosed with diabetes 7 years ago at the age of 10. Right before coming up here to speak right now, Sophia was just telling me how her blood sugar was too high and right now I'm still feeling shaky from a low blood sugar. Perhaps this is a perfect example of how difficult it is to take care of diabetes, whereas it's so easy to say, keep it between 80 and 180, you don't want to go high or low, but that balance is really hard to keep. But even just telling each other that our blood sugars were both a little bit out of whack, it makes us both feel better to be able to compare this to someone else. When I was diagnosed 7 years ago, I didn't know any other diabetics, and I wouldn't for a few more years. I would go to camp, which was in North Texas, and I would meet other diabetics there at this Diabetic Texas Science Camp. However, I would come back, and I would wonder where all of them were. I had heard that there were diabetics in the valley, but I still hadn't met any. Maybe running into 1 or 2, and then not seeing them again for a long time. So last year when the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association started, I was really willing to jump in and try to help. And I've really enjoyed participating in the past year, being able to help with the Children's Diabetes Support Group or all the activities they plan. It helps me, and I like to think that I can help others as well. I think it's really important from the time that they're young for every single diabetic to have people who can support them. I think it's good for the parents to have other parents they can compare notes to. And ultimately, I think together we can make diabetes something that's not really a challenge for each person, but more of something we can support each other and make each of us stronger. Facing little challenges each day, I think, has helped me, and I hope that it will help all these children too. I hope that the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association will be able to continue their goal and continue to help each child with diabetes grow.
Judge, Commissioners, we would like to thank the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association for their bravery and for putting this together. And I'd like to recognize Ms. Deborah Franco, who's the president of the South Texas Juvenile Diabetes Association. And I don't know if she would like to come up and introduce some of the members that are here as well, some of the family members.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to introduce Michelle Flores. She's also a co-founder and board member for the association, and this is her son, Jacob, who is 9 years old. Luke is my son. He's also 9 years old. Wave, Luke. We have Lori Kennedy, who is the proud mom of 2 children with type 1 diabetes. There's Braden and Brianna. And we have Brielle Swerdlin from the Edinburgh Children's Hospital, who've been wonderful supporters of our group and our team here. Jeanette Broshiers, who helped us put on the symposium and the kids camp that we put on annually for these diabetic children. Felipe Salinas, who's the proud father of Hannah. Carolina, who you heard her daughter talk about so much, is Sophia's mom. And my daughter, Laura Salazar.
I know I'm probably forgetting somebody, but we're all here just to bring awareness and to let people know that diabetic children are unique, but they are amazing young people, and they are worth all the efforts that our community puts into them.
And Judge, Commissioners, if we can have a motion for approval of the proclamation?
So moved.
Yes. Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, and we would like to take a picture as well.
Okay. No, thank you and good luck to all of you.
Yeah. Judge, if we may at this time take an item out of order, we have some special guests to recognize, and the item is 12D. It's under the Health and Human Services Department. And the item reads, Recognition of La Jolla Independent School District, FAR San Juan Alamo Independent School District, South Texas College, and RGV Careers and Institute for Higher Learning, the University of Texas Pan American, and the Valley Grande Institute for their dedication and assistance during Operation Lone Star 2012. And if I may have the organizations that we specified, if they can come up and stand over here behind me. And I'd like to hand it over to Mr. Eddie Olivares at this time.
Judge, Commissioners, it's an honor to be here today. As you know, every year for the last 13 years, we've had a program called Operation Lone Star. And Operation Lone Star is a program that provides medical, dental, and vision service for a lot of people in our community. For the last several years, we've hosted it at one event. It's been in Precinct 2 area where it's been at PSJA High School. The other event's been in Precinct 3 area where we've had at La Jolla High School. Last year, we saw over 3,000 community members in our Operation Lone Star. Operation Lone Star is the country's largest joint, military-civilian joint exercise, where we have the majority of folks from the Texas National Guard, from the National Guard, U.S. Army, U.S. Navy. We have people from the Public Health Services Administration, and we even have representatives from the country of Chile who actually participated in this event this year. Like I said, it's single-handedly the largest non-wartime event, training event in the country. And this year, hopefully at the end of July, we will have Operation Lone Star for the 14th year. But we could not do it without a group of volunteers, committed community members, and civic organizations to help us see over 3,000 patients come through our clinics in a 4-day period. We'd like to recognize, Brenda, got the names? Go ahead. Brenda, introduce our guests, our recognition.
Okay, we'd like to recognize La Jolla Independent School District for their participation. We'd like to recognize Ms. Ariana Hernandez and Mr. Raul Cantu from FAR San Juan Alamo Independent School District. We're presenting everyone with a certificate. We'd like to recognize RGV Careers and Institute for Higher Learning. South Texas College, Mr. Juan E. Mejia. Valley Grande Institute, Annabelle Cardona, Gracie Pina, and Natividad Carrillo. And from the University of Texas Pan American College of Health Science and Human Services, Ms. Doreen Garza and Mr. Sean Saladin. County departments.
We need to recognize also our Department of Safety and Risk Management. Mr. Quintanilla did a wonderful job and his crew assisting us. We need to recognize Mr. Sunday and Mr. Flores from Building and Grounds who assisted us. We have to acknowledge Precinct 2 and Precinct 3, Commissioner Tito Palacios and Commissioner Flores for assisting us and getting equipment. And of course, Sheriff Lupe Trevino for providing access to support. Constable Larry Gallardo, Constable Eddie Guerra, for assisting as well in that, and Constable from Precinct 2 that gave us our assistance in the PSJ area to assist us with that, plus many other departments that assisted within the community to help us with this Operation Lone Star. If you see here, collectively, we had over 400 volunteers from the community. Valle Grande itself had over 150 students that participated in helping us. University of Texas Pan American brought in some very integral members of their medical students team that they have to do medical interpretation during the medical components for the physicians. So there was a lot of input and support from many organizations. This coming year, I have to acknowledge Judge Garcia and Jaime Longoria. We are working on already developing for Operation Lone Star something that has not been done in Hidalgo County for Operation Lone Star, where we're bringing a dental team and a team that actually provides glasses and support for different people in the community. We're talking about bringing up to as many as 50 dental chairs to serve hundreds of people this year. And Judge, I have to thank your office because they were helping coordinate that and making that happen. So this year is going to be a very exciting year. Brenda, anything else we need to look at? Oh, we need to recognize Monica and Rodney. They're hidden in here in the corner. There are our leaders from our public health preparedness and emergency preparedness team. Monica and Rodney have done a great job in coordinating planning for Operation Lone Star. So on behalf of Hidalgo County Health and Human Services, I am honored to present a winning team right here that serve thousands of residents that support Hidalgo County. I'd like for you to join us in a hand of this winning team right here. Thank you, Judge. Okay, can we do a picture, please?
Yes.
One up there.
Congratulations.
Oh, I'm not important.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Judge, and another thing, that Operation Lone Star is about, in some cases, it's the only time county residents get to see a medical physician. We've had people who never in their life have seen a medical physician.
Eddie, you do a very beautiful job of coordinating the effort.
They do it, sir.
I realize it's with their help, but it takes someone to provide the leadership, and that's where you come in.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Look forward to providing all that health care again for the community.
This year's going to be unique, sir. It's going to be a good year this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Balde?
Thank you, Judge. There's no action right now under items 7A, 1, and 2 unless there's action to be taken further down the agenda. Item 7B, I'll just give the court a real quick briefing. As the court's well aware, we did have some activity over the weekend. The modulars were moved from the Shady Lawn Park over to the courthouse square, the northwest corner of the courthouse. There is extensive work being done right now. There's trenching for the site preparation work, electrical. Our facilities management has been out there. We did have the assistance of the city with respect to traffic control. We had the assistance of Safety Department as well, helping us with traffic control. And more importantly, or most importantly, the Sheriff's Office has really helped us with the security of that whole area to keep individuals out of the work zone. So as of today, the modulars are being affixed. to the courthouse grounds, and we are we are within our schedule to have the modulars ready before the end of the year so that we can get those offices and courts that are outside of the courthouse back to the courthouse proper.
And completion date, Valde?
The completion date, Commissioner, we are hoping that we have everything done by December 15th, thereabouts, the week of December 15th, 21st of this year, yes. Again, so we can start moving everyone. The reason we said that we would, our move-in date had changed to January is because of the holidays during the December month. Plus, we have to coordinate with those courts on their docket. We have to give them a timeline so that they can accordingly adjust their dockets.
But does that include the security fence?
Yes, sir.
By December the 15th, everything be?
Well, but my comment about December 15th is to have everything completed by that 15th or the 21st in there because of our anticipated moving date. But yes, the turnkey includes the security fence. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Next item, please, sir.
Item C, discussion regarding county employment exit protocols. Judge Commissioners, I place this item on the agenda so that the court can begin to have some dialogue with respect to exit procedures. And by exit procedures, I'm talking about right now, as of late, we have had an increase in the number of claims through the Employment Commission. And we have seen that there may be a misinterpretation of what proper documentation is needed when someone is leaving us or when we're asking someone to leave. I know that we direct everyone to the HR department. They do what they do. We also get a lot of phone calls in our office. But as of late, Judge Commissioners, one day to the next, we'll get a change of status. It says individual has been constructively let go. And then a couple weeks later, we'll get a claim through the Employment Commission. And when we look at the file, we discover that there is a lack of documentation. There is no documentation. The reasons that were stated for the termination, the commission questions. And so I'd like the court to start having some dialogue to see about what we can do about coming up with some exit protocols county-wide so that we can establish.
That makes sense, Valde. Why don't you get with HR and put together a group of people from the various departments.
Okay.
Come up with what would be a legal method of exit.
Okay. Judge, with your permission, then I will also include legal counsel. And also, I am going to ask that we also include Mercedes from the Civil Service Commission, as again, the Civil Service is also involved in these matters when individuals appeal their exit.
All right, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners.
Send us each a copy of the committee that you put together.
Yes, sir.
For the members are.
Yes, sir.
All right, next item, item 8A. Under the constables. I know Mr. Guerra, Mr. Gallardo.
I don't know if that's something that Steve, y'all
go ahead.
does that have to do with the overtime or?
Overtime paid for the state grant.
Okay, but that was something that you prepared or?
We prepared the judge, we reviewed the grant, Judge Commissioners, and in the grant it is specified that overtime pay can be paid solely out of grant funds, not general funds, under this grant. But the only condition is that there is a resolution recorded in the minutes of the Commissioner's Court permitting overtime pay to be paid out of this grant.
Is there a proposed resolution?
There is a proposed resolution.
We didn't know this was on the agenda, going to be on the agenda.
Do you have a copy of it, Steve?
Let me check the agenda, Judge.
Also, Judge, I think this only applies to one particular grant, right?
It's only one particular grant that I know of.
Yeah, because last time there was two, but one of those didn't allow for the overtime paid for.
The one that we were talking about, Mr. Facio, was the Stone Garden, didn't allow it.
Just want to make sure, because
The Border Star does.
there's no
But it's a state
notation
grant,
on
not
the
a federal
agenda
grant.
item, so to be clear, it's only for that one particular grant.
Steve,
Yes, sir.
there was a question raised on who is eligible for this?
It would be law enforcement officers that are eligible under the grant to receive overtime.
And who are, any peace officer, or?
Right now, the grant covers, I believe, the sheriff's office has this grant, as well as some constables have this grant.
Because it includes the officers that apply, Judge. When you apply for the grant, you specify who's going to receive.
You specify the
grant
officers
funding.
in the grant that are eligible.
To cover everybody under the chair and under the...
No, it'd only be when you submit the grant, you specify certain individuals that are eligible. And it would be only apply to those individuals, and you have to specify what their positions are. And if the person is in that position, then they would be eligible to receive overtime.
I think this came up in reference to the chief deputies because they were exempt employees.
Right.
And that's why this was brought upon, because their salaries are in the grant or figured into the grant as well. Not chief deputies along with all the other deputies.
So you have the resolution on hand?
I have the order here, is in your packet.
All right, do you want to read it, or Balde wants to read, so we can act on it?
Yes, Judge. Commissioners, we do have the order here. It's in order to permit overtime pay for deputy constables solely from grant funds. And it states, whereas certain law enforcement departments of Hidalgo County are grantees under certain grant known as the Local Border Security Program, which would be the grant, whereas certain law enforcement officers are exempt employees under FLSA, whereas the grant provides exempt or salaried law enforcement employees may receive overtime pay from funds of the grant if a motion of Commissioners Court is entered into the official minutes of Hidalgo County Commissioners Court, and whereas the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court desires to have its salaried or exempt law enforcement employees be eligible to receive overtime pay salary solely from funds of the grant. Therefore, be it now ordered by Hidalgo County Commissioners Court that exempt or salaried law enforcement personnel employed by Hidalgo County shall receive, and the Commissioners Court hereby approves the payment of overtime hours as defined by Hidalgo County overtime policy, paid at 1.5 the standard normal hourly rate plus fringe rate for law enforcement employees in lieu of normally received time hours when working on state-sanctioned operations for overtime hours worked when allowable under terms of the state grants. It is understood that no special rates will be established for this work. These hours will be paid by Hidalgo County, but reimbursed by the state at no actual cost to Hidalgo County. Judge, Commissioners, if I could have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And so to finish just real quickly, Judge, the order, so whereupon a motion made by Commissioner Palacios and seconded by Commissioner Palacios, this order providing overtime pay to exempt salaried law enforcement officials from state grants was passed on a vote of unanimous, or 3-4, and none against, which would be unanimous. So this order is being adopted by the county judge, authorized to sign the order, and the county clerk is instructed to record the order in the official minutes of the Commissioners Court.
Does this include all law enforcement, including the sheriff, or just particular for constable's office?
That order was just specifically for deputy constables.
They're specific only for the constables at this point.
I don't believe the sheriff allows his exempt employees to work overtime.
Okay, because I think the order read law enforcement as a whole, so that's what I was wondering. It's applicable only to constable personnel?
Yeah, the reason the order has that is it would also could apply to the sheriff's office if they wanted to do that, but the order tracks the language from the grant.
Okay.
And that's the language that said exempt or salaried law enforcement personnel.
So at this point, Commissioners Court is approving the overtime pay of exempt constable personnel.
Constable and any other law enforcement personnel employed by Hidalgo County.
So the sheriff would be...
The sheriff would qualify because this provision is taken out of the grant itself.
All right.
Constable, are all of your deputy constables entitled to overtime?
Yes, Judge.
Even the ones that are classified
Except for
exempt?
my exempt employee, which is my chief deputy.
Is he entitled to overtime presently? Is he going to get it under this grant?
Under the grant, this is what this is for, so he's allowed to go out there and supervise my deputies that are working grant, and get paid for it. But he has to, my policy is he's got to work his 40 hours, before he can be eligible for the overtime.
How will this affect his employee-employer relationship and other projects?
Well, the deputy constable would only be able to have overtime under grant funds. So it doesn't change anything as far as the constable himself and Dog County policy.
Thank you. All right, next item, sir, item 8B.
Commissioners, discussion regarding the Section 28 applicants. As you know, last week there was some lengthy discussion in reference to mental health orders issued by the JPs. There's been some uncertainty, been some confusion in reference to this. Basically, the DA said, the constables serve the JPs and they must do them when local jurisdiction cannot do them. And we kind of studied this and back and forth, and Constable Guerra and I'm sure he can speak for himself here about this, but we're not saying that we cannot do it. However, we have a limited amount of staff that are able to execute these orders, especially when you have process that's got to be served. A lot of it's time sensitive. When we have other duties and responsibilities in addition to serving that process and serving the courts as bailiffs, such as the parks, Eddie's got security in certain areas here, certain county buildings, probation office, I've got illegal dumping, we have 3 truancy officers. You have people that are either day off because they have to work the park on the weekend. You have deputies that call in sick. I had 4 out yesterday. We've got 1 assigned to the election in La Jolla, the La Jolla School Board election down in Precinct 3 because they want some peace and order. So I have 1 out there. And so when the judges issue these orders, it kind of gets, we're charged with taking those orders. Now what we've been doing is serving the municipalities with those orders if they live within the city. And Mission, per se, has and I've had many discussions with them, they're okay in executing those orders and they've got the manpower, but it's the smaller cities that are having the problems, and they're in turn calling the sheriff's office, and then they are having to do those, and we're getting the calls that, why come we're not doing it? Well, it's manpower. Sometimes we can and sometimes we cannot. And I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we did one, Judge Milacho asked us to execute one. It was an individual that was arrested for PI out of McAllen PD. He was released the next day from the jail. He was still intoxicated. The family came in and requested help from the JP. I think it was on a Friday or Thursday or Friday afternoon, about closing time. We executed, we took him to the hospital, and 2 deputies were there for at least 8 hours, standing by to get this individual person cleared to go to a mental health facility. You have 2 officers that are there for 8 hours past their shift. We don't have a 24-hour shift to be able to replace those. We had to call 2 other officers that had already gone off duty to go out and replace him because they hadn't even eaten lunch yet. So that ordeal was about 14 hours, and at the end of the day, the doctor would not sign the release, and so they had to transfer that individual back home and did not go to the mental facility. But
how many of these calls do you average on a month or a weekly basis?
Well, just the next day, from when we were here last week, we had 11 that day. Yes, we distributed them out, but if we were charged with doing those 11, 2 officers times 11, that's 22 officers.
Is that 11 in your precinct or 11 countywide?
It was 11 in our precinct.
And each one of these requires 2 officers? Or?
Most of the time, for the safety of the officer, yes. Different counties do different things. I was at a conference last week, and I have numerous JPs that I know throughout the state, my involvement with the state association. And a lot of them, what they do, JPs, they won't even sign it unless they've been evaluated by a mental health facility such as MHMR. There's a 1-800 number they can call, MHM, or they can take the individual to the mental health facility. They can get screened first to see if there is a need for further
But isn't that the purpose, that they have a difficult time getting him to MHMR?
Well, at that
The plan
point,
when
then
he
they
needs
would
help?
call, but they would determine whether or not this individual needs help before they even call the judge, is what they do, the screeners. And I'm not sure, I talked to them yesterday, I'm not sure they're here, but that's the way they do it. Once the call is made to the JP, then he does sign the order. Or if they voluntarily want to take their loved one to the hospital to get a medical clearance, then the doctor can go ahead and sign that order, and all that has to be done is transporting that individual from the hospital to the mental health facility, and that's it. There's less time involved. So there's different ways of doing it, and the only reason I put this on the agenda, because I think there needs to be some workshop to bring all the team players together to figure out how we can take care of this problem. We're not saying we can't do them. We can.
Well, I don't know, it's not really a matter of we can, I mean, we have an obligation.
We have an obligation,
I mean,
exactly.
you're a peace officer, and public safety is a primary concern. We can't just ignore it.
Right.
And I understand what you're requesting is additional staff?
No, this time I'm not additional staff. I think we ought to get together with all the team players, the sheriff's office, us, MHMR, maybe some of the local jurisdictions to come in, and because you know what? If somebody goes to McAllen PD and requests help, municipal judges or magistrates, they can issue this order and require their officers to do it if they live within the city. But they're not. They're saying, go see the JP. That's what's happening. And so everybody needs to take their fair share. I mean, if we had a lot in the county, then it's my responsibility, it's the sheriff's responsibility to attend to those outside of in the county areas, in the rural areas. So again, I'm not saying that we don't want to do it. We are doing it. However, if we're going to be tasked with doing all of them and continue to doing the duties and responsibilities that we have, then you're looking at 4, 5, or 6 additional officers per precinct, and the equipment to do it, unmarked vehicles, cages. I mean, we're talking about a big expense if it's going to be charged just with the constables.
Have you contacted our district attorney for?
Yes, I did. And, you know, it basically, talking with one of the assistant DAs, you know, they're looking at legislation, but who knows how long that's going to take. But they did send and I know Ms. Josie is here. They did send a email out to the JPs to further clarify what the DA said. And basically, those orders can be issued to any on-duty officer. It could be a municipal officer, it could be a county officer, but on duty. And the cities are required to do their own. If they cannot, what it states there, which there's a little bit of confusion there, then the constables need to do it. But our primary duties are from 8 to 5 when the courts are open. They're not after hours, so who are they going to get at that point? The sheriff, local PD, we don't know.
Josie, were you going to say something?
Yes, Judge. After Commissioners Court last week, Mr. Guetta asked that our office send out a memo to all of the Justice of the Peace offices in the county, clarifying the statements that were made in court and reminding them that the statute required any licensed peace officer, meaning it could be a municipality in addition to a county peace officer. So in the municipalities where we are not getting cooperation, he asked that in those situations, the JPs then contact the constables, and that was the purpose of the memo.
The problem is that the
Yes,
biggest
sir.
municipality that we have is the city of McAllen, and they're the ones that we have the problem with. So.
I'm sorry, Ms. Constable, you said what?
The biggest municipality is, of course, the city of McAllen, and they're the ones that are telling their constituents or their people to go talk to the JP, which then falls if we rely on the DA's memo, well, it falls on us to serve because they refuse to do it.
Well, I agree that perhaps we need to get together, get all the stakeholders involved, and I'm not sure how much we can accomplish. The big fix, the good fix is going to be the legislative one. But that'll take us, at least 8 months.
Exactly. Well, I know MHMR is willing to help. I did discuss a lengthy discussion with one of their screeners or one of the supervisors, Ms. Garza, who's related to, in fact, JP Garza, and there's things that they can do to maybe assist with this, but they have the same issues as everybody else. After hours, trying to find a JP or finding somebody to go out there and pick up this individual. But I can tell you right now that a normal section can take you anywhere from 3 to 4, 5, 6, 8 hours. But if you're having to travel outside of the valley, and you have to go to El Paso, or you have to go to San Antonio, now you have two guys that are having to drive up there and all the way back. And Sheriff's Office has done it, has always done it. In most counties, and I'm not trying to pass the buck to the sheriff, but the Sheriff Department usually has a specialized team that handles this in most counties our size. But, we don't want to put the burden on. We're here to help. It's just, we're like any other department that we have people that are off, people that are sick. And so we have to provide still the same amount of responsibilities that we're charged with less staff. And then on top of that, we're having to do one or two or three of these sections.
Yes, sir.
What kind of a problem do we have based on numbers? How many cases do we see a day, a week, a month, or over the year?
We were just told that on one day, one precinct got 11 calls.
It could be, Commissioner, we had that one day, we had 11. Yesterday, we had 3. However, some of them were municipalities, and actually what's happening is that the JPs are giving it to us, and we're having to
I understand what you're saying. What I'm simply asking, Judge, is can you have Valde look into collecting information to see how serious the problem is? Those 2 days that you mentioned, 11 and 3, is that normal every day, or is it?
I can't tell you.
Well, that's the reason.
Prior to last week, the JPs would call the Sheriff's Office or would call the municipalities last week, before last week. Today, I'm sure we can tell you how many are coming out of Precinct 3 because they're giving it to us and giving us the responsibility of either sending it or serving it to the municipalities, or if we can't do it, we have to call the Sheriff's Office. So we could probably get those numbers for our precinct.
To understand.
Yes, no, I understand. And by statute, we have a task and a responsibility to take care of these individuals, especially if they're suicidal but it's going to take a team effort and not just on us, because we can only probably do one a day, if any. The consul's office. If we have all our people that have not called in sick or not out on training or whatever it may be. So that's kind of what we're faced with.
Well, Josie, on the big picture, is there a way that you could get together with Mr. Guerra, or your office can come up with a proposed legislative amendment to Section 28 that would address this? That will end our discussions.
Yeah, we can work on that, Judge. In the meantime, I think Constable Gallardo is requesting a workshop with all of the county elected officials and officers that would be responsible for responding
These are
to this.
serious public health issues. Families need help during those critical times. They're having to cope with a mentally ill individual within their family, and they're needing help from law enforcement. We can't just be, and we're not going to be ignoring it.
We want to take care of it. We just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Thank you.
All right. But I agree with you, Commissioner. We need to get Valde to give us some figures, and we have to come up with money for some staff. We have to do that.
To understand the size of the problem.
All right. Next item, our DA's office. Number 9.
Judge, Commissioners, Mr. Cáceres has asked that I present this item on his behalf. Item 9A is approval to transfer auto allowance pay in the amount of $3,600 from slot number 0099, Criminal Investigator 2, to slot number 053, Criminal Investigator 1, with the approval of the revised salary schedule.
Move for approval.
Need a second? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And he is requesting no action on item 9B. That'll be brought next week after auditor has had a chance to review that report.
All right, sir. Item 10, our Sheriff's Office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Richard Ozuna, Sheriff's Office, Hidalgo County, on behalf of Sheriff Guadalupe Luis Trevino. Under item 10A, Judge?
Yes.
Authorization and approval to upgrade our wireless equipment through the county's membership participation with Contract DIR SDD 1780 with the awarded vendor Sprint on 17 Apple iPhone 5s at $199 apiece, equaling to $33.99.83.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item B, pursuant to the Hidalgo County Cellular Telephone Policy Contract, DIR SDD 1780, presentation for consideration, acceptance, and approval of cellular phone request, form data card request for the following. So under item 1, approve requisition 224228 for 25 unlimited data access cards at $37.99 each per month.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C, in the Sheriff's Office 1284 Fund, item number 1, approval for acceptance of cooperative agreement between Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office and U.S. Department of Justice, Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA. Can I read them all together, Judge?
Yes, please.
No, Judge, we need to keep them separate.
All right, then let's do it one at a time.
Move for approval of C1.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 2, approval of certification of revenues by our county auditor for the DA cooperative agreement for overtime.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 3 is approval of appropriation of funding for overtime in the amount of $17,202.25.
Move for approval.
Need a second?
Is this part of the grant?
Yes, under the DA.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item D, Sheriff's Office FBI, under the grant 1284 account, item number 1 is approval to accept overtime funding agreement from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, in the amount of $34,404.50.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Judge, some discussion regarding these two items. It is implied that the county is applying, accepting the grant funding, so therefore you're approving the payment of overtime for non-exempt employees? Because the policy that the county has is the non-exempt employees cannot get paid overtime unless approved by Commissioner's Court.
Well, that's what we did with the constables.
But no, but that was for exempt employees. I'm talking about non-exempt. Non-exempt employees, when you work overtime, you bank, normally. But the policy says that the Commissioner's Court can approve the actual payment, and this is what this here is, actual payment of cash for overtime work. And so my question is, I just want to make sure it's clear that when you're approving the acceptance of the funding, that you're also approving the payment of overtime for non-exempt employees.
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's the case.
Solely from these grant funds, though.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead, sir. What item are you on?
D2.
In detail.
Number 2, the approval of certification of revenues as certified by, once again, our county auditor for the FBI overtime agreement.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item number 3 is the approval of the appropriation of funds in the amount of $34,404.50.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, sir. Item 11, our tax office.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. I'm Paul Villarreal and Eva Mireles, our Chief Manager. We're here before you to, we have two items, slot 043 and 050, to be deleted and to create 0140 and 0141. There's no budget impact on these positions, and pretty much there's additional duties to them, so that's why we want to modify the positions.
Why would there be no budget impact?
It's a
They're
vacant
gonna get
position,
raises,
so,
aren't they?
well, there's additional duties to this position, so we're just trying to modify the duties that are going to be assigned to, from a bookkeeper 1 to an accounting clerk 2. They're doing more of an accounting procedure now, so that's why we just want to change the title.
The question is, there's grade 8 and 7 as opposed to 6 and 5. So at some point, there's going to be a difference in salary.
Is there a difference, Sergio?
Excuse me?
If I can address that. For fiscal year 2012, there's no budgetary impact due to the lapse salaries for the positions being vacant. However, for fiscal year 2013, there will be a budgetary impact of $5,979 for fiscal year 2013.
So that would be additional monies than what we approved?
That is correct.
But that amount of money will have to come out of the fund balance, right, Sergio?
Fund balance for either the operating budget or reappropriate it from contingency at some point during the year.
Paul, do you have some resources in your budget?
Do we have any resources in the budget to take care of this?
Yeah.
For the 2013 budget?
We can look at it. More likely, we can try to figure out something to where we can accommodate that for this coming year. I will have to look at our budget.
Would any of this be able to come from the special inventory fund?
Well, normally we can probably try to assign some of the duties to this certain, the title of this position to where we can get it from special inventory. We can.
Because you're going to have to take that into account when you come, because normally you come towards the end of the year and make those adjustments.
Yes.
Commissioners,
Move for approval 11A, 1 and 2.
need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 12, our Health Department. Mr. Olivares, I think he's outside. If someone could please call him so we can.
Judge, Commissioner, I apologize. We're dealing with that Section 28 issue out there with the Executive Director from MHMR. I have several items today, sir. I have item 12A, discussion and action including but not limited to indigent healthcare program and/or expenditures. There is no discussion on that item, sir. Do you mind if I go on to item B? Item B is a discussion approval of 1150 waiver documentation and/or waiver plan. I want to give you an update on that. We have been working closely with Health Management Associates out of Houston, who has been contracted to assist us with developing a regional health plan. The regional health plan itself is not due until December. We have portions due at the end of this month, and then another portion due in the middle of November. That plan will be reviewed by HHSC at the state level and CMS at the federal level, with final approval on that plan would come in the spring of next year, March, April of next year. But we are working closely with our consultants to get this plan in place, which would incorporate Willacy County Hospital, Starr County Hospital District, Cameron County, and Hidalgo County, and our various MHMR, University of Texas partners, along with our private hospital partners we have here in place. So everyone's diligently putting their plans together to be able to meet the need. We're looking at getting this in place and ready to move forward. There's a couple of other items on today's agenda that we would have to discuss to move the plan forward to the next level. Any questions on our discussion and approval of 1150 waiver documentation or anything we need to move forward on, Judge, Commissioners?
Eddie, so the approval is only of the certification?
No, what we have on here for item 15, and it's discussed later on the actual, I think it's on item,
the question that I have, when you say an approval of documents, what
well, we put this as a standing item by recommendation of council, because sometimes our turnaround periods are very quickly, that we put this as a standing item to give us some leeway in case we don't meet the 2-week period for agenda items that the state may call us right away to get something approved. So this has been put as a standing item, Mr. Ofracio, to look at this
For
directly.
the record, I just wanted to state what exactly is being approved by the Commissioner's Court, the waiver documents. I think it's a certification is one of those documents, right?
Right, the certification in dealing with our issues, and those certifications have been, Monica has them, they're ready. And the certification of affiliation and the certification of partnership, which we have with, or affiliation, which we have with Driscoll Hospital, McAllen Medical, DHR, all the different participating hospitals.
Right, yeah, that's what I want to make sure for the
No,
record.
no, that's what it's for. And dealing with that specifically, it's a list of certifications involving that we are a county entity and the county entity is involved. Steve, any other updates on that you want to bring up on involving the affiliations?
Well, the revised certifications, just to make a point, just came in late yesterday afternoon. So that's one of the reasons for the standing items, so that as things come in, we're approaching various due dates, and time is running short on some of these deadlines. And if you miss some of these deadlines, for example, on the certification, that particular hospital could be out of the picture
Right.
for the entire period.
Right.
So you haven't had a chance to review those documents?
I have reviewed the certifications.
What about the affiliation
The
agreement?
affiliations, I even drafted part of the affiliation agreement.
Yeah, so he actually put them together, so that's the direction we're going at. We also have representatives, Carlos Zaffarini, who is the counsel for the hospital group here out of Hidalgo County, and Israel Rocha, who represents Hidalgo County Clinical Services Incorporated, the hospital group here as well. But the affiliation agreements are part of the RHP, are part of the regional health plan, and it's a requirement for the plan, so we cannot advance forward with the plan without the agreements. So with that in mind, sir, it's very important that these affiliations and certifications get approved today and signed today. They are due October 26th to the state. So we need to get them by close of business October 26th in Austin. So it's very, very important. And again, this is an example that Steve just said, where they send things at the last second. This happened in the last 24 hours that these changes are happening.
So again, the plan is not being approved at this point, right?
No, the plan is not going to be approved until later on in the year. The plan is not even due yet. So the plan is being constructed as we speak. We have Health Management Associates is constructing the plan for the anchor, which is the 4 counties or the 2 hospital districts and 2 counties. And then Carlos Zaffarini and his team is constructing the plan for the hospitals of Hidalgo County. And then there's a consultant that's constructing a plan for Cameron County hospitals. All of these plans are coming together, brought into our office here in Edinburgh, and then we forward that information to Health Management Associates out of Houston that's putting all the plan together from all the 4 entities and UT system as well as Tropical Texas.
Eddie, you indicated earlier that the plan will be approved at a later date.
Yes, sir.
Who's going to approve it, the state or CMS?
HHSC will review the plan initially. They will do the initial screening and approval. Once it gets through HHAC level, Health and Human Service Commission, the plan will be forwarded to CMS, to Medicaid, Medicare up at the national level, and they will approve it there. But HHSC will not allow anything to go forward that doesn't meet minimum criteria to be looked at by the federal government. So they're the first buffer that we have to go through.
Yeah. And I think the certification that the county judge is required to sign indicates that the county will be compliant with the plan. And that's one of the concerns that I had.
The certification is that the county is part of the plan, that we are the ones that are taking part in the regional health plan and along with the other entities involved, that we will be the ones that are taking part in the plan and that we will be compliant. And the compliance part primarily has to do with following Medicaid, Medicare rules and laws, which we have to do as a Medicaid provider anyway. As a Medicaid, Medicare provider in the county, we have to follow all the rules and guidelines set forth by Medicaid and Medicare.
I think it's real important that there's compliance with the plan, otherwise you might be in a bind.
Well, on the whole issue with the compliance, things are very different now. The former UPO program compared now to 1115 waiver, there's a lot more eyes on it, a lot more hands on it. HHSC is taking a very large role in it, more than they did with the UPL, and we're seeing that there's a lot of supervision involved with the new 1115 waiver that was not in place for the UPL waiver.
So,
At a different level, state and federal.
Eddie,
Yes, sir.
you're requesting approval of it?
Sir?
Are you requesting approval?
Yes, we're requesting approval to adopt the certifications and affiliations. And all been approved by legal counsel and as reviewed by Mr. Fraser. We talked about it earlier.
Okay, do we have a motion? Yeah. We have a motion and a second. That would be to item 12B. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge. Monica will follow up with you, Judge, to sign all the forms for that, and she'll follow it up. So we need to get those to Austin.
Yes, sir.
Item C is discussion, consideration, and approval of the fourth quarter Medicaid waiver transfer in the amount of $2,062,500 to the County of Hidalgo Medicaid Supplement Program escrow account for indigent healthcare expenditures fiscal year 2012. This is the fourth quarter, well, the last quarter payment that was due back in the 1st of September. The state had put a hold on it operationally statewide, not just Hidalgo County. The whole state was put on hold because they were working on this 1115 waiver. But now they've given authorization to go ahead and draw the money down and go ahead and get it expended out to the appropriate parties. So this is just part of the routine that we would do with the previous system on paying uncompensated care for Hidalgo County.
Second.
Eddie, and
Need a
again, this is
second.
the fourth quarter of the state fiscal year payment.
Is this the fourth quarter, Israel, or the
Yeah.
third quarter? Sorry, on this drawdown. It's advance waiver. Yeah, they're not calling it quarters anymore. It's called an advance waiver. They're not going by the quarter system anymore. It's an advance waiver system.
Right, but we follow normally the state's quarters, because the funding that we have in the county, because the county goes by the county.
Sure.
And then we pay based on the
Yeah,
state's.
and the thing is, there was information sent to your office, Mr. Fracio, on here that outlines the dates when the drawdowns are. We still call them quarters, they're calling them something else now. So it's a matter of vernacular.
Yeah, but no, I just wanted to make it for the record, because I think the budget office is also budget based
Okay.
on that, on those quarters. So we need to know.
I see what you're
exactly
saying. Thank you for that advice, Mr. Fracio. Thank you for that input.
But
That's
you've
important to know
addressed-
that.
You have addressed Mr. Ofracio's concern.
Yes.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item D, we already discussed, sir. We're moving to item E, that is requesting approval to process the following invoice as a claim with authority for county transfer to issue payment after review, audit, and processing procedures are completed by county auditor. This situation, this is for Gloria Flores interpreting service. Right now, the county is working diligently to come up with a contract to provide interpretation service for the hearing impaired. Unfortunately, procedurally, there's an issue with insurance with this particular vendor. However, under federal guidelines, under American Disabilities Act, I still have to provide an interpreter. And while the county's trying to work out the insurance things with the vendor, we called them in to provide interpretation for a hearing impaired client that we had to serve. So therefore, this is where this bill's coming from. It's coming
All right, are there any
from that.
questions? If not, need a motion to approve payment.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
The next one is requesting approval to process the following invoices, claims with authority for county treasurer to issue payment after reviewing, audit, and processing procedures and completed by county auditor. This is an $18 lab cost.
Need a motion to approve. Need a second. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
Thank you very much, Judge Commissioners.
Eddie,
Yes, sir.
I think we're going to have to meet to make sure that we're clear on the issues regarding the payment that is being made now, because some of that money is going to be used for managed care, right? Towards managed care?
Oh, for the drawdown?
Yeah, $2 million that is going to be transferred.
No, what we're looking at, the initial plan is the money that's been allocated for indigent care, the $8 million for this year, this coming year's budget, is going to be used for uncompensated care. So now there's uncompensated care and this rep.
Right.
That all the funding we're looking at for uncompensated care and indigent care will still continue on the same line, The dish rep program will be coming from other IGT services and components like Tropical Texas, UT System, and some others.
No, but this transfer that is being made this month.
It's under the UPL.
It's under UPL, well,
It's still under the old
yes,
system?
under the old
or-
system.
Okay.
All right, well, you guys get together. We need to
We'll get
move on
together
now.
and we'll have Mr. Zaffarini get in contact with you to work it out also.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Item 13, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Our first item on the agenda is your request to conduct a public hearing.
Can you tell the community what it's about
Yes,
before
sir.
I convene it?
Yes, sir. The public hearing is to solicit comments from the public in regards to a proposed budget and program amendment for Precinct 4. The amendment is taking into account funding from years 21, 24, and 25, which are 2008, 2011, and 2012. The precinct would like to add an additional street to their existing work plan. This street is known as Owasso Road.
At this time, we convene a public hearing. If there's anyone wishing to make any comments, either in favor of or in opposition or in general, now is the time. There being no response, we'll at this time close the public hearing.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, item 2.
Item 13A2 is requesting the approval of the budget amendment for Precinct 4.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, motion carries.
Item B is requesting the approval of the following personnel actions. This is to delete slot number 0007, compliance monitor grade in step 13, and create a slot number 0031, identified as internal auditor 3, also at a grade 13.
Move for approval of 1 and 2.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 14, our Elections Office.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Just a quick update on the great voter turnout we had for first day of early voting. In comparison to the last presidential, we are up over 3,700 votes. I gave you today's for a chart that you could fill in, as well as a 2008 for the whole term of early voting. And also our mail-in is up by almost 573, close to 600 mail-in ballots. So we did very, very well. The state will be comparing the top 10 counties, and I will be emailing you to tell you where we are in the ranking. Another thing I would like to do is to remind everyone that you can go out there and vote. For those of you that are here present, we have a mobile unit. The mobile units are doing very well. This afternoon, from 1:30 to 6:30, we will be at the old administration building. And also, all day today, we will be at Doctors Hospital at Renaissance. So for those that are in the area and need to quickly stop, you may stop there. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we will be in the morning at STC Mid-Valley Campus, and in the afternoon at Knapp Medical Center Hospital, as well as Med-Aid Pharmacy at 1022 East Griffin Parkway in Mission. So the mobile units are doing very well. Voting has gotten underway, inviting everyone that we do have 28 permanent early voting locations. Please go on our website. It's at hgoco.net/elections to get all the schedules as well as sample ballots. And if the court has any questions for me? If not, just really encouraging everyone to get out there. If this is an indication of how Hidalgo County is doing, we should be very proud, and everyone should continue to participate to make sure that we break all records. Thank you.
We certainly want to encourage everyone to get out there and exercise their responsibility as citizens to go out and vote. Next item, item 15, our Head Start program.
Yes, item A is a presentation of bids received as detailed in the tabulation sheet contained herein, meeting all specifications and/or requirements for the purpose of award and approval of contract for request for bid titled Building Relocation Palmview 1 Center through project number 2012-024-10-10. And the tabulation sheet shows Del Sol's Homes as the recommended bid for $197,000. The other three are listed there. Do you want me to read them?
Which one? 15A. Any questions?
Move for approval?
Need a second? Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is the appointment of a community representative, and this item was to be for Mr. Commissioner Quintanilla, but he's not present at this time, so we'll put it again for next week. Okay. Thank you.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 16A, 1, 2, and 3. I'll take item 1 first, is acceptance and approval of procurement through the county's membership with the Houston-Galveston Area Council through awarded vendor Motorola Solutions, Inc. for the purchase of radio communications equipment, license and maintenance support, warranties, and any other pertinent accessories applicable to the upgrading of the county's communication system in the amount of $7,991,778.66. It's a correction to the item. It'll be 66 cents, not 68 cents. By means of finances which include the HGAC administration fee. Steve, may I take items 2 and 3 at the same time, or do I have to have them separate?
Let's take them separately.
Okay. Judge, Commissioners, again, this is for the upgrading of the county's communication system.
Judge, all of this has been,
It's in the budget.
it's in the budget already for this year.
Actually, the first payment, this will be a lease purchase agreement. The first payment will be due January 15th of 2014. So these funding for this purchase will be appropriated during next year's budget cycle. We've deferred payment for up until January of 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 16A2 is acceptance and approval of the systems purchase agreement for the radio systems as reviewed and approved by legal for the above aforementioned under line item A. This has been reviewed by legal counsel, by bond counsel, and also has been reviewed by our financial advisors.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 16A3 is acceptance and approval of the equipment lease purchase agreement number 23355 in the amount of $7,991,778.66 between Motorola Solutions, Inc. and Hidalgo County, Texas, with authority for the county judge to sign all related documents for the financing purposes of this equipment.
So moved.
President, the funding is not in place yet until...
Again, yes, the payment will be due on January 15th of 2014, so we will be appropriating this monies during next year's budget process.
Was there a second?
Yes, sir. Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 17, purchasing.
Yes, sir. Martha Salazar for the Purchasing Department. We will start with no action or discussion on items 1, 2, A, B, and C respectively. Going to item 3, this is approval of the final AIA document, form of agreement between Hidalgo County and D. Wilson Construction, and this is for the renovation of the former administration building. We need approval, please.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 4 is the acceptance and approval of an amendment 2 to the AIA contract between Alcocer Garcia and Associates and Hidalgo County, and this would be to renovate and remodel by an addition of 6,000 square feet to the existing administration building to the south side.
Move for approval?
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item B1 for precinct 3. Oh,
Judge, we do have comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, Fern. Under item 16A13, 1
Well,
to 3.
I had also shows 17. I had already gotten my question answered on the other one, so
All
I
right.
didn't need to question. I do have 17A4 on there.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
And my question is, this 1.2 million is just for the extra 5,800 or 6,000 square foot. And in your paperwork, it shows that the project we're looking at is 4,852,550. Is that added to that, or is that in that? It's including. Okay, so far, we've spent on the annex building is what we call it, where we used to have Commissioners Court. We spent almost $5 million on it. Is that correct? Up to date?
Well, I think what they're talking about,
the bid on D. Wilson is 3.3 million, and the 1.2 would make it the 4 point, what you're looking at.
Okay, and that's what we've paid for the entire thing so far?
No, you've had other expenses that have gone into preparing the offices. Remember, we've renovated the 3rd floor.
That's what I'm asking.
That's not included.
Okay.
And you've done abatements, you've done remediation.
Just wasting time.
This 3.3 would include the gutting of the entire first and second floor.
Okay.
And this amendment would include the addition of the 6,000 square feet.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Going on to item B1, this is precinct 3. This is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking the proposals received for emergency ambulance services for unincorporated areas of precinct 3. As you can tell, we have the scoring at Hidalgo County EMS at 83.4, Quest Ambulance at 66, ProMedic EMS at 96.2, and Medcare EMS at 95.6. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
So moved.
Second.
those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B would be authority to negotiate with the number 1 ranked firm of ProMedic EMS.
So moved.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item C1, this is for Precinct 4, approval of an amendment to professional construction management services agreement between Hidalgo County, Precinct 4 and Prodigy Construction to extend the term of the agreement at this time.
Regarding the insurance, Marty, the insurance was going to
The
that.
insurances have already been forwarded. There is a change of address, so a new accord is being printed, but it is valid. I did hand it to Ms. Chavez, and we did email it this morning.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item D1, Colonia Access Precinct 1, requesting acceptance and approval to execute a professional engineering contract. That's for Border Colonia Round 3 with SAM Engineering and Surveying as authorized for negotiations on July the 10th.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Requesting acceptance and approval of work authorization 1 with the amount of fee at $8,589.36 with SAM Engineering and Surveying. And that is for La Milpa subdivision, a Border Colonia Access Program project.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Under item 2, also under Border Colonia Access Program Precinct 1, exemption from competitive bidding for a professional service.
So moved.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
B1 is requesting, presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking of those firms evaluated and graded. Those firms were Quintanilla Headley and Associates at 99, Rodriguez at 92.3, and R. Gutierrez at 95.6. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of their scores?
So moved.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
We're asking for authority to negotiate with the number 1 ranked firm of Quintanilla Headley and Associates.
So moved.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item E is Colonia Access Program Precinct 2, presentation of a recommendation by project engineer Gutierrez to award to the responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid, meeting all specifications. That's REIM Construction Incorporated. The amount is $103,429.61 for road and drainage construction of Val Bar subdivision.
Move for approval.
Check.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
The next one is presentation and recommendation by the project engineer, R. Gutierrez, to award to the responsible vendor submitting the lowest and best bid and meeting all specifications, Asago LLC, DBA Asago Construction, and this is for $363,487 for the road and drainage construction of Rancho Escondido subdivision.
Move for approval.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item F is recommending approval to reject all proposals received for the request for proposals of placement, housing, and detention and supervision of Hidalgo County inmates. This is a request by the Sheriff's Department. We will continue to utilize our current agreement with La Via plus the interlocal with Brooks County until such a contract is available.
But there's two requests on this now.
Yes, sir.
Sir?
You say to reject is the request and also including,
Not to re-advertise at this time. They are formulating some and drafting new specs because we did ask for a radius of 125, no more. There weren't participants that met that radius. They have to rethink whether they need to expand that radius or try to encourage some local political subdivisions to enter into interlocals that would meet that radius.
All right. Well, in any event, they're not ready yet.
so move.
Second.
Good. Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item G, this is for the county clerk requesting approval of the amendment for the failure to appear program with the Texas DPS under all of the legislative statutes that have been mentioned on the agenda. And this is to introduce that ability to deny driver's licenses and/or scofflaw. It's in connection with that program.
So move.
Need a second?
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item, item 18, first presenter, open forum, Lydia Jeffries.
Judge, before we go into the open forum, I'd just like to announce, we did have a workshop scheduled today for the classification and compensation plan. However, we do have some time constraints from the city, so I'm requesting that we reschedule that workshop till next week. That way we'll have ample time to discuss.
And maybe by then we'll also have a full court.
Okay, thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Ms. Jeffries? Can you speak into that microphone? No? Okay. Is that hers also? For the benefit of the students, this is a portion of the meeting where we provide the residents of the county an opportunity to discuss whatever issue of concern they may have, up to a 5-minute period, not to exceed a total of 30. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I have this concern that I saw this notice today in the morning in the bus. We don't know nothing about, we don't have any meetings to discuss this changing of the services of transportation. And I'm concerning because it's my issue that I brought to you this past week. In the services is needed over here because too many people don't have transportation and they needed to go to the taxes office, to the many businesses. And I don't think it's the right thing to the management of the transportation to give us services, and I think it's about a year that we have these services, and they want to take away from us, like they take away from Mission the Courier Link. We need services, and they don't have any right to take it away from us because we receive funds equal from Willacy, Cameron, and Hidalgo. So they don't have any right to take away from us the funds and the services we need. I like to you to think about and help us.
Jaime, get all the information you can on why they did that. They discontinued a certain bus route that obviously Ms. Jeffries and other people were using on our MetroLink. Get as much information about this and let Ms. Jeffries know.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jaime.
Next presenter is Opa Billman. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Opal Billman. As a consequence of a divorce petition filed in 1990...
Can you speak loudly into that microphone, please?
As a consequence of a divorce petition filed in 1996, I have been held in police-enforced false imprisonment in Hidalgo County for 15 years. False imprisonment is a crime. I would like very much to have my freedom and liberty, which is granted to me under the Constitution of the United States of America. Although a petition for divorce was filed, this issue is not and has never been about divorce. It is about 72 acres of land with capital improvements owned by Joe Billman and me, which is the community property. The court gave no value to our community property, and there is no division of our community property. There was no divorce settlement of our community property, and the divorce was not finalized, which leaves the community property still owned equally by Joe and me. When Joe died, this case was over. Judge Juan Partita can hold as many hearings as he chooses. Joe Billman will not be present at any of them. Following Joe's death, I petitioned the court to dismiss the case. Hearings were held. At one of the hearings, it was announced the case was over. I thought the case was dismissed. So May 13th, 2008, 5 years after Joe's death, I went to the rec hall. I was arrested and jailed for about 40 hours. In pursuit of this arrest, June 9th, 2009, I was tried for criminal trespass and found not guilty. This trial resolved nothing. I was still held under false imprisonment. So I petitioned the court to dismiss the case. December 9th, 2010, Judge Juan Partita held a hearing in which he said the case was dismissed. February 14th, 2011, 8 years after Joe's death, I walked over to the rec hall. I was arrested and jailed for about 72 hours. May 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of 2012, about 6 months ago, I was tried for criminal trespass again and found not guilty again. The Sixth Amendment requires any person being tried must be confronted by their accuser. No one showed up at either trial to claim that they owned the land and accuse me of trespassing on their land. Both trials are unconstitutional. The second trial is smack in your face double jeopardy. My defense for both trials was that I cannot trespass on land that I own. Unless the judge decides to uphold the law and dismiss this case, there's absolutely no way to resolve it. My being jailed and run through two unconstitutional trials resolved nothing. Continuance of this case is barratry, a crime. The police keep me confined to the house still. If I walk around anywhere on land that belongs to Joe and me, anyone can call the police will respond, arrest me, and put me through another unconstitutional trial. It is an endless cycle. Justice requires a fair resolution, not an endless cycle until both the owners have passed and the 275th District Court can announce with feigned surprise, oh my, Opal and Joe abandoned their land. My ownership is Texas community property law. If Judge Partita would dismiss this case, it would fall under Texas law, which passes Joe's estate to his 3 heirs. False imprisonment is comparable to having burglars break into your house, tie you up, and steal your property. It's a crime. I am confined to my house to protect the court's ruling that our land cannot be divided and is excess land with no value, which is absolute nonsense. No matter how worthless the court rules our land to be, it still belongs to Joe and me. I want the false imprisonment of me to be ended, and I thank you very much for your time.
All right, next presenter is Mr. Frank Travers.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Again, thanks for making this time available. A short time ago, there was a meeting between one of our elected Texas legislators and 2 leading citizens here in the Valley. The stated purpose of that meeting was, and this is a quote, to discuss the current and future goals of the Hidalgo County Rail District, funding opportunities, and future collaboration. Now, this follows a completion of sometime last year of an over $400,000 feasibility study having to do with the commuter rail system. And that study concluded, and this is a quote, "A commuter rail system appears to be feasible and further study is warranted." Now, just what is going on here? Sometimes it seems to me that our eyes are set and our elected officials feel that their measure of success is merely that of bringing home a sizable share of the federal funding pot, no matter what the money's for. Now, I wonder if adequate consideration is being given to the practicality and the specific uses of the proposed funding. If their only goal is to just get the dollars, this is what I call having dollar signs behind their eyeballs. Now, let's look at a few facts. The Federal Transit Authority reports financial operating results for all transit systems in the United States. In the year 2010, out of a total 363 systems operating and being reported on, just 71 were transit rail systems, and every rail system lost money. None could meet their operating expenses out of their fares collected, let alone even start to pay for the cost of building the systems. Now, all of this in just the year 2010 cost us over $5.8 billion just for rail support, all paid for by our federal, state, or local taxes, paid for by all of us. Now, here's what a few recognized experts in rail planning across the country have had to say. Robert Poole, writing for the Georgia Public Policy Foundation. Overall, then, rail transit is erroneously believed by the public to be socially desirable. Peter Samuel, an adjunct scholar for Reason Public Institute, quote, A major misconception is that rail has inherently higher capacity and provides better service than buses. Mr. John F. Kane, a Harvard professor, quote, "The tendency to ignore the superiority of bus systems is explained by a prior commitment to rail and a willingness to cook the numbers." Randall O'Toole, director for the Center of American Dream. The stampede to build rail transit lines has led and is leading to a series of financial and mobility disasters. Thomas Garrett, senior economist for the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. Why do voters approve local tax increases? Specialized interest groups promote rail benefits to the public. Kenneth Brown, research director for the Rio Grande Foundation. The mere existence of a study with favorable rail conclusions does not guarantee the soundness of a rail system. Now, the Commissioners Court can take the lead and establish guidelines which all boards, commissions, leaders, and staff should conform. It's important that our objectives or goals for evaluation or further study be realistic, that is, at least possible in the long range. Rail passenger systems are clearly not in this category. Bus systems need to be further developed and supported. I think we should encourage our commissioners to take the lead and do the right thing. I know the commissioners appreciate hearing from the public, and I wish everyone would keep themselves informed and do so. Again, thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to be proceeding to executive session to discuss some items in closed session and then come back in open session. So at this time, pursuant to 551-071 and 072, would entertain a motion to proceed to executive session. Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, motion carries. All right, we're back in open session. Mr. Guerra?
Thank you, Judge. Open session, item 28, there's no action to be taken, which is a real estate acquisition. Item 20B, pending and or potential, no action. Item 20C, EEO charge number 846-2012-71558, Carla Davis. Judge Commissioners, I'd like to refer back to agenda item 7A1 and 2. 7A1, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. I got a motion to that effect.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Aye, motion carries.
And 7A2, requesting engagement with a firm of Atlas and Holland Rodriguez for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20D, claim of Michelle Isas as next of friend of Valerie Isas minor. Judge Commissioners, I just want to disclose that we'll be assigning that, or I'll be assigning that over to Ms. Josie Ramirez's office at the District Attorney's office. Item 20E, claim of Eliseo Alvarado. Judge Commissioners, I'd refer back to item 7A1 and 2. Item 7A1, requesting exemption from the competitive bidding requirements under Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And item 7A2, requesting engagement with the firm of Preston Hendrickson for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement.
Move to approve.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Item 20F, there is no action, Judge, at this time.
Need a motion to
So
adjourn?
moved.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.